Hi, I'm Mark Hughes. Welcome to this edition of Disability Viewpoints. Good to see everybody again. Good to be back with you. My co-host this time is Nick Wilke from the Metropolitan Center for Independent Living right here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Nick, welcome to the show.
Mark, it's always good to be on. Thank you so much.
Who is your guest today?
So today I'm really excited because I have a couple folks from Highland Popcorn here in St. Paul. This is a wonderful organization that produce amazing flavors in popcorn, and they also employ people with disabilities, which is awesome. And excited to have them on. Excited to have some samples.
Yeah, we're gonna have some samples.
Excited to increase awareness around this business
about disability employment, which is very, very important in our world.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. We're going to have folks on from the MNCCD today.
Excellent.
To talk about a couple big bills they have going on in the legislature, which is happening right now if you read the paper or watched the news. And they're going to talk about their Wednesdays at the Capitol, which is a big event. They're doing it by Zoom this year.
Okay.
I'm sure because there's a ton of remodeling and security going on now at the Capitol with the recent news things that have gone on.
Yep.
And so it should be an action-packed show, and we're looking forward to doing it. So let's get started right now. More Disability Viewpoints. We'll be back in just a second. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Disability Viewpoints. I'm Mark Hughes. With me is KiloMarie and Bridget, and they'll introduce themselves in a moment. We're going to get started today. So Kilo, let's have you introduce yourself, and she's going to talk about the pieces of the legislation that's going on right now that are so important to the disabled community. Hi, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is KiloMarie Granda. I currently serve as the policy co-chair and a board member for the Minnesota Consortium for Citizens with Disabilities. My background is really in advocacy, in human rights. I do a lot of work in not only the disability access space, but also in criminal justice, human trafficking prevention, child welfare, et cetera. So for me, I feel like individuals with disabilities are at the highest risk for, victimization or a violent crime, something like that. And so I think they tie in together, and I'm so passionate about making sure that people understand the vulnerabilities that folks with disabilities face, and how often we are forgotten by the very systems that were created to help build this up and to help, encourage and empower us. So, so I'm very excited to be here today. We have a lot of legislation going on. Unfortunately, it is a very short session and it is packed. So we've got, right now we've got a lot of defense happening. We're really trying to make sure that we're not having any more cuts happen to certain services. And for me, I think really right now it's about, we're trying to move out of being reactionary and trying to go into, what can we do to better the systems we have, not just stop the bleeding, so to speak. Senator Abler put it really well that the recent cuts have been like, a hatchet job, really. So they haven't surgically gone in, the federal government hasn't really surgically gone in and tried to take a look at the legislation. Rather, there's just kind of a hatchet job done, a blanket all, we're going to be stopping this. And that put fear into so many folks in our community. And so right now we're trying to move over past that, use that momentum though, keep going, and again, try to, leverage what we have, our power as a community to make sure that there aren't any more cuts happening and to, again, improve the services we currently do have.
But with the federal cuts going on as they are, the state has taken up quite a few of the programs, and that kind of changes the whole picture, the whole hemisphere, if you will. So can you talk a little bit about that, what kind of burden that puts on our state, what kind of burden it puts on the program?
Definitely. Right now we're seeing a lot of weariness by our state, really like a lot of fear and uncertainty about if these cuts take place, how much are we going to have to pay back, and how many programs are we going to have to supplement? Yes, there is a rainy day fund, but once we start pulling from that, we will then have to, put back into it by pulling from other supports and other systems. So right now we're trying to, be very careful. The state is being very careful in what they're going to be looking at spending right now. We came back, there was some good news that we're not looking like at a major deficit or anything anymore. Which is great, but at the same time, if we do have to pay back these cuts, we are then looking at a deficit, So what can we do to make sure we're maintaining some kind of balance?
But here's the other part to the story, and you know it as well as I do. This year, in 2026, there's a budget surplus so far. But next year, as we look into 26, 27, then that budget surplus drops off. And that also changes the piece to the puzzle, and you might want to expound on that for a minute.
Well, I think it's really it's unfortunate right now we're in a policy year. We've got a budget surplus, but we're in a policy year, and next year we've got a budget year, and we're going to be looking at deficits. And so it's really going to make it very difficult for a lot of the reforms that we want to take place, to actually have them happen, because we're not going to have the funding to take to be able to do that. We're not going to have the infrastructure.
And that's because a lot of the reason is we don't have a lot of the federal funding we used to have.
Yeah.
And I believe someday it'll be back, but just not right now.
Right. Yes, exactly. And my worry is once it's back, what do we have to do? Do we have to then put more money into, will the federal government and the state then have to put more money in to be able to help individuals recover from that period of time when there were those cuts? And not to put a cost to human life, because we really can't. But how much cost is there going to be when there are deaths, when there are continued hospitalizations and people can't recover because they don't have the proper services? I mean, to me, I feel like that's more a drain on the state.
The other thing is we have a lot of fraud going on, $1 billion worth in the state or over. And by the time we get federal monies back, the operations costs of each one of the programs we've had will go up in operating costs. So we've got that too. We got to catch up on that too.
I agree with you. And it's really hard. This conversation is hard for me because I am very, very well aware of the fraud that took place. And I actually saw it happen with the program and had to turn that program in last year. And so I know all about the fact that the fraud is real. It does happen within our communities. Unfortunately, again, individuals with disabilities are at the highest risk for being exploited. And in this way, we have been. So I really think we need to take a look at the fraud. We need to say, yes, it happened. And and we have people who are literally relying on these systems to save their lives. What can we do to balance that out?
The other thing that's happened is we've always planned to have new computer systems, new controls, new financial points controls, and we've had these computer programs that have set up to flag these issues. It has in some cases, but not in others, and so it's causing a problem now. And I don't know that you can replace a computer fast enough to combat the issues that we've had. I don't know, because I'm not really an IT person. But I'm a little concerned as a taxpayer as to, okay, what do we do now? What's plan B? Now that we got $1 billion worth of fraud and everybody's heard it on the local news and on the national news, what do we do now? What's the next thing? And while we're trying to figure that out, at the same time, the programs and some of the people with disabilities are vulnerable, and they do suffer because we no longer have the monies that we've had to produce these programs. And I have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
So, anything else we got to cover that I may have missed?
So I wanted to just let the community know a couple of things that are really important on our docket right now. So to expound a little bit more upon MNCCD, we are a consortium for citizens with disabilities. We're a broad-based coalition of advocacy and provider organizations, and we work together to provide public policy changes and reform for our communities. So for us right now, we came with a full agenda at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of session, knowing that many of the things were going to have to be dropped. But we do have a couple of them right now that are actually have headway. The first one is a bill on augmentative and alternative communication systems. The second is on waiver reimagine. And so these are two bills right now that are working their way through the Senate and the House. We actually are really excited. We have a lot of momentum behind them. So I would just encourage folks that if you're interested in learning more about our policy, reform and changes, how you can be involved, what maybe we can do to support you. Right now, we currently are asking for individuals who feel comfortable to share their stories with us, anonymously or not, via an easy Google form. And you'll find that on our website. And it's just a short form that allows you to talk about how
Okay,
you've seen
right.
these federal cuts impacting your community. So we just encourage you to be active, and we want to support you.
Okay,
So.
if you need somebody to come and testify, I would raise my hand for you.
Oh, we would love that. You would be an amazing testifier. Yes.
So get in touch with me. I've done it a lot, and let me know what you need, and I'll try to get it done for you. And then you have Wednesdays at the Capitol and all those good things. And would you come back and give us an update on those two bills as to how they end up, either pro or con, or positive or negative? So would you come back and do that?
Bridget, do you want to just cover our day at the Capitol?
Yeah, just to introduce myself, my name is Bridget.
Sorry about that.
Carter-Bertrand.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I'm the operations specialist with MNCCD. I've been with MNCCD for years. And two of the best parts of MNCCD are our day at the Capitol and our Wednesdays at the Capitol. So everything that Kilo was just talking about, all that information is great, and then we can kind of turn that into action with these two events.
And that's on your website, and it's Wednesdays at the Capitol. What time?
Yeah, 10 to 11 a.m. and they're on Zoom. And so they're every Wednesday during the legislative session. We have different member organizations host them to talk about their bills or what they're working on, what you should know. So yeah, that's a really great time. And then this year, our Disability Advocacy Day at the Capitol is April 29th. We'll be in the Capitol Rotunda. Before the rally, we'll do poster making. Folks can connect, get some information, and then we'll do the rally portion. And we're planning a really great rally. And yeah, we're really excited. This year's theme is disability justice, safety, and community. We really,
That's a good one.
Minnesota, yeah.
Great.
So.
Anything else before we go?
No, thank you for all of your service to the community, your work and your advocacy.
Well,
it's much appreciated.
You're welcome. I enjoy doing it, and I hope we're doing some good in the community. That's the key. All right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
So we'll see you again. Let us know how those bills turn out, and good luck to you at the Capitol, and we'll see you down there.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank
See
you.
you soon.
Thank you so much for being on. We'll be back with more Disability Viewpoints in a couple minutes. Stay tuned, please.
Welcome back to Disability Viewpoints. I'm your co-host this month, Nick Wilke. With me today, I've got two amazing guests. I've got James with me. James is an employee at Highland Popcorn, and then I've got Craig Applebaum, and he is a general manager at Highland Popcorn. And I'm so excited to have you guys here.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thanks.
We're excited as well.
No problem at all. Have you guys been on the program before?
We haven't.
Well, welcome. So excited to have you. Would you mind introducing yourself for our viewers?
Yeah, for sure. You want to start, James?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, my name's James, obviously, and I'm one of the employees at Highland Popcorn, and my job is basically I'll cook, bag, clean, whatever. I'm usually kind of the everyman, if I had to best describe myself in one word.
That's awesome. That's awesome, James. And then Craig, how long have you guys been at working there?
So we opened Super Bowl Sunday 2024, February 11th. My daughter's birthday, so if I forget that,
Awesome.
yeah, there'll be some issues. So
That's great.
And James has been there since we opened.
That's awesome.
As well as myself. Yeah.
Cool. That's fantastic. So, James, before you started working there, did you know about making popcorn?
Not really. Like usually I might put it in the microwave, but I mean, like we used to have an old popcorn maker that, like the ones that have like the little pot in there, and you just pour the kettle seeds in, and then you just wait for it to pop. But
Okay.
otherwise, not really. Like I mean, those are my only experience. Like otherwise, not in a professional way, especially.
Right. And now you're making all kinds of stuff, right?
Of course, like seems like we get a new flavor every day.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Craig, maybe this one is for you.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the origins of the business?
Yeah, for sure. So our co-founders, Seamus and Connor O'Mara, they wanted to open a business not just to provide meaningful employment for people with disabilities, but long term. And that was as big of a goal as to just being able to hire.
Nice.
And we are proud to say that in the 2 years we've been open, all of our current employees were with us from the beginning.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a few that rotate with our partner Midwest Specialty Services, but it's this core group, and just depending on their daily life activities, they may rotate from week to week, but all of the employees open the store with us, which is, I could speak for them, that they're incredibly proud of.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And James, awesome that you've been there since the start. How many employees?
So we probably have around 50.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and again, some of that is some rotational employees, but just because of their lifestyle as well. But
Right.
yeah, about 50.
That's awesome. And of course, we know now more than ever, like life balance is important too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, James, do you want to talk about like we got a few flavors here? Do you want to talk about some of the flavors?
Of course. So where should we begin?
Wherever you want, man.
All right, so currently, like right behind, like we have our lot of caramel. It's this. Thank you. This batch of popcorn it's a classic. Like I never really think about caramel popcorn all that much, but it's one of the most like complex of the popcorn flavors. Like out of the classics, this is the most complex, and this batch is something that you would have to really make sure like you're getting the amount of popcorn in, because if you put too much in, it won't coat as well as it would
Okay.
like under normal circumstances.
Gotcha. So, James, is the caramel, is that one the hardest to make?
I would say so, like in terms of, because you would have to pay attention to certain points, like because you would have to make sure you have all the ingredients out, you're putting them in at the right times,
Right.
because you have to first put most of the ingredients on the first step,
Okay.
then you have to put some butter in later on, like once it's boiled enough,
All right.
and then you would have to pour the popcorn in and make sure like none of it's sticking to our caramelizer.
Right.
And we would have to also make sure like it's coated properly so that
Yeah.
the whole thing's coated and it's like you're not missing any. And then you would have to separate them into candy lumps and then make sure
Gotcha.
they're cool enough that it's not like burning hot, and then put them in our buckets, and then eventually we have to weigh them down to make sure they're weighed properly.
So, I mean, again, like you mentioned it already, lots of complexity. So, and that's
Absolutely.
just the caramel, right?
That's just the caramel.
So, what other flavors do we have, James?
Well, we got our cheese popcorn. This one's a lot more softer, and I mean, you do most of the steps is literally on the first part, and then most of the time it's just waiting. And we would make sure like the caramel, it's all coated properly.
Cool.
And this flavor is much more lighter, and that for our bags, like we try to weigh them down, because out of all the popcorn in terms of the weights, like this and Hey Butter Butter are definitely lighter as
Okay.
opposed to Waza and caramel, where you have to really weigh them down.
Okay. And that the weight goes into every bag too, right?
Of course.
So
Yep.
like one bag of Hey Butter Butter is going to be different than
Correct.
the caramel.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And next we have an all-time classic, Hey Butter Butter. Like everyone loves this popcorn. It's what you would sit down for like family movie nights or binge watching or whatever. This popcorn we use our main popper that we use for this. Like we have 2 kettle seeds. we have our butterfly and our mushroom.
Okay.
The butterfly is the reason why we call them that is that the butterfly resembles, the popcorn is much more thinner and spreads out like a butterfly, of course.
Cool.
And this popcorn we would use on, both of them we use our popper, and we would just pour in the popping oil, the salt, we put salt on it, and then we put the kettle seeds, and then we would just wait until it pops, and then
Nice.
we would separate the popcorns, we would separate the seeds, so you'll never find like an actual seed in our
Wow.
popcorn batch.
Okay, so
the kernels.
quality control,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then what's the last one here, Jim?
This is our Wells mix. It's the combination of the 3 flavors I mentioned before, but basically it's caramel, cheese, and butter. It's like most of what you would get. Like
Nice.
we would take the 3 flavors we ever make, and then we would pour them into our popper. Like
That's
we have a
awesome.
tray, and then we would separate them. Like we'd pour about half of each flavor, mix it, and then put it in our bags, and then we would repeat the process until like that's done.
Super cool.
And
Super cool.
This is the reason it's an all-time popular bestseller because obviously we all know why, but
Right?
it's definitely one of the. It definitely allows you to get a variety of flavors in just one bag.
That's super cool. That's super cool. James, what would you say? What would you say is the best part about working for Highland Popcorn?
Well, it's just mainly being able to like getting out of the house and doing some work.
Right.
I like being able to like come in, I create a system, I figure out like what should I do for what day, like once I'm given like instructions on how much popcorn to make, like when to bag, I try to figure out, okay, like from this time to this time, from this and that, I'll do that, and then if I have plenty of time, I'll figure out, you know what, I'll do this. Like maybe
That's awesome.
I'll bag, I'll clean, I'll whatever I can to help, and then if I have nothing else to do, then we'll just find me something else to do. Like I might work the register or whatever.
Cool. So it sounds like you got good support, but you got a lot of autonomy in your work too, James. That's cool.
I think that one thing that this job has provided for many of our employees is independence.
Right.
Not just getting independence away from their homes, group homes, personal homes, wherever that may be, but even inside the shop, they're independently working
Right.
and able to do things on their own. And that
Right.
was also very important
Right.
as for why we opened.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
A similar question for
Yeah.
you, Craig. What's your favorite part about working
Well,
there?
honestly, and I've said this before, but it's pretty special to be able to go to a job knowing you're making a difference.
Yep.
But going to a job where people are making a difference in your life
Yep.
is just
Oh.
even better.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
so great.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah.
What about, and then another question I have for you is, does the shop sell anything else? You've got popcorn.
Yeah, so we mainly try and focus on popcorn. We have some sodas by Northern Soda.
Okay.
I give them a shout out. And we have merch.
Nice.
We have some miscellaneous things that just happen to be.
I've seen stickers.
Yep. Yeah, we give away a lot of stickers or the bracelets and stuff.
Nice.
So throughout the year we have different things that come
That's
up, more
awesome.
of a kind of a seasonal where it's
super
there
cool.
and gone.
I remember one time I bought a bucket
Yeah.
of one, and I took one of the stickers off the bucket,
Yeah.
and I stuck it on my something else.
Oh, nice. Yeah, on the water bottle or whatever. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, kids love
fun.
them on the water bottles
Fun.
on the computers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Absolutely. Yep.
What do you want? What do you want the community to know about Highland Popcorn?
Well, that first and foremost, what I want them to know about our employees is that they are more than capable of doing the job of any other employee. I think that's very important, and I would invite anybody watching to come. We'll give them a tour. You can see the place see our employees in action because they're the heartbeat of the business, and it's a really just a very warm, inviting place to come and visit, to shop at, and to support this community.
Awesome. Craig, would you be willing to share? Would you be willing to share the website?
Absolutely, it's highlandpopcorn.com.
Okay.
On that website, there's an email, hello@highlandpopcorn.com. You can also reach out to me, Craig, at highlandpopcorn.com. Sorry, not a dot, but just Craig, or give us a call.
Right.
Yeah, as well. But
and what's that phone number, if you know?
651-447-2366.
Perfect.
I said that a little fast.
One
but
more time.
Yeah. 651-447-2366.
Perfect.
Yep.
James, do you have anything else you'd like to share?
I don't know. I mean, like I think I've said what I can. Like,
Okay.
is there anything else you'd like to ask?
Well, like, you obviously really like your job, right?
Of course.
And here's another question for you. How many hours a week do you work?
Usually like 8 hours. Like
Okay.
I'd probably work. Like it all
day.
depends on like the time of the.
James averages around 30 hours a week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great, James.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, I wish I had more time.
We do too.
Thank you
Thanks.
for bringing in the
Yeah.
bags.
Thank you.
Of course.
Such a pleasure.
Enjoy. Yeah.
I would love to have you guys back on the show.
Anytime.
Are there any other events coming up?
Well, it's not coming up. Well, it's supposed to be here before you know it, but we will be back at the Minnesota State Fair this year in the merchandise buildings.
Nice.
So come see us there, and
Super
we have
cool.
some other smaller events over the summer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I really hope viewers get to check out the shop in Highland Park.
Yep.
and check out the popcorn too. And thank you, Craig. Thank you,
you.
James.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
And,
for having us.
Our viewers will be back. We'll be back after these messages, and thanks for tuning in to Disability Viewpoints. We'll be right back.
Well, can you imagine a half hour went by just like that? Of course, with Nick Wilke here co-hosting, that's not hard to imagine, but it went by just like that. So I want to thank the folks from MNCCD for coming and wish them well at the legislature this year. And please join them for Wednesdays at the Capitol. It's an important thing. And at Highland Popcorn, please patronize them. It's a nonprofit, but it was great. And Nick, you did your usual great job. So thank you.
And extended thank yous to Craig and James and everybody at Highland Popcorn. Get out there, check out their website. They've got a handful of different flavors for you to try. Mark, as always, pleasure being on.
Well, or call Highland Popcorn on the telephone. They're grand bells.
They've got a
That's
phone
a
number,
great
too.
invention. And I got a couple announcements before we go. Disability Viewpoints, and it's not about me or about anything else. It takes a village to do a show like this, but we are up for a couple of awards. One of them being the Hometown Media Services Award. We'll let you know if we win that. Also, we're being nominated for a TV Emmy, which is the first time in my very career. If we get that, we'll get that in the fall of 2026.
That's
and we'll let you know more about that. That's a long shot for me. But when I was asked if we wanted to try for it, I don't say no to things like
Right.
that, so we're going to go for it. And with
That's awesome.
people like Nick Wilke on board, it withstands your chances even better. So stay tuned to this show. We'll let you know. And as always, thank you at home for watching Disability Viewpoints, because without you, there wouldn't be a Disability Viewpoints. I'm Mark Hughes. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon. Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody.